So we are very fortunate to have Pope Francis as our Pope in the Church today, and we are thankful for all the good that he is doing for us. Of course, there are difficulties that we're experiencing, and he is leading us in the right directions in the Church. And sometimes people criticize him for different things, but generally speaking, Pope Francis is trying to follow the example of Jesus, especially when it comes to preaching the gospel in our world today, and also trying to emphasize the importance of the mission, of the Church everywhere, not just in Europe or North America, but in all the different parts of the world, Asia and Africa and Latin America as well. And so in doing that, Pope Francis is always reminding us of the priority of God's mercy and God's grace, which comes before everything else. And of course, it is the presence of the Holy Spirit in our lives that is really important as well, so that we can live good lives and so that we can build up a world of greater peace and justice and fight against racism and help our neighbor. And one of Pope Francis's most important focuses is also on the poor people in many parts of the world with their suffering and so on. And that is why he is always emphasizing the role of the poor people and our need, to help them in their own situations. But Pope Francis has a broad vision, and so we have our faith as Catholics, but also, of course, we share that with other churches, especially with the Orthodox churches, the Anglicans, the Lutherans. And so as Christians, we work together in different churches, and we try to help each other and to move ahead to make it a better place in our world. And that also includes, of course, not only just the Christian churches, but also the other religions. One of Pope Francis's best friends is a rabbi in Argentina, and they've worked together for many years as Christians and Jews, and then also with the Muslim people today as well, trying to work together to move ahead as religious partners in that way. And so as Pope Francis continues his work, it is especially through his emphasis on joy, of course, the joy of the gospel that we are called to live as Christians. And sometimes, he is criticized for some of his statements, but it is always in view, of our Christian faith and the way in which we can move ahead as Christians in our world today. That is important. And so we are thankful for the work that he does. And he is also a person who works with the other bishops as well. And so the bishops in different parts of the world, when he writes, he refers, to what they have said. And so it's in collaboration that we work together. And he emphasizes very much that we have to listen to each other, especially, so that we can hear, what people are saying, and then we can work together in that way and move ahead and make good decisions. And recently, of course, there was the synod in the Amazon in Latin America, especially in Brazil, but also the surrounding countries. And by reflecting, on the needs there, then also we can see perhaps, how we can work together to preach the gospel in our world today in a special way. And so for Pope Francis, the preaching of the gospel, evangelization, is always the important first move that we have to make as Catholics. And even in the reform of the Roman Curia, the evangelization department is the one that comes first, because as we preach the gospel, then of course we also help to develop it through the grace of Christ in our world today.